tale from nature, a little detail of the pride of Africa, yes, the pride of Africa. And as the story unfolds, you will get to know that this is glory untold. I am about to take you all on a very long journey, which requires a lot of energy. So first of all, I'll take you to Davi, serve you Akpele and Fitiridichi, but you will have to relax on Akpeteshi, because I will take you to the peak of Mountain Afajato, bring you back to the valleys and expose you to the beautiful sceneries of Akosombo. After visiting the Boabing Fema Monkey Sanctuary between Techiman and Kintampo, we shall take a walk to the Mole National Park, and if grace locates us, we shall find favor with Kukula, the mystery wealth-making river in Cairo. I understand you have fears, come on, in the Omo, but please be of good cheers, because after saying hello to the crocodiles in Paga and Allahu Akbar in the oldest mosque Ladabanga, we shall pay a visit to the Yana, where I'll serve you Pito, Tozafi and Asana. Trust me, the only song you will ever know will be Osibisa. And as I welcome you back home, if you find anything fascinating, Pashawu to Missy Bisa, because you shall make a triumphant entry into the kingdom of Ashanti. Yes, Ashanti, the reservoir of history, the land of great warriors, men and women who laid down their lives to preserve their land and heritage, a true showcase of bravery. With their bare chest, they stood in front of guns and bullets, never afraid of colonial expeditionary. This was more of a sacrifice than African sorcery. Though I'll tell you the story of the great Okobanoche, his sword, the golden stool, and its surrounding mysteries. So before I take you to Cape Coast and Accra, the Kinke cities, allow me to show you around the colorful towns of Peto and Bond with the Kente cities. Come with me to the Tumfor and his majestic palace of Minshia, where you'll find the finest artwork in KJTia. I'll get you the best of Ufo and Akrantia, because in this land, the crafty powers of every Abrantia lies in the fact that he is this year. Gold is their footstool. Come with me to Zulezu, and the architecture of the village on river will simply amaze you. I will serve you fancy, take you to the castles of Cape Coast and the West and show you the historical inscriptions on the walls. After enjoying and pissing the home of a Jamante, I'll take you to the Eastern Mountains, where I'll gladly hit my chest, because this is where the boutique falls. I will excite your sight with the beautiful sight of the light that comes with the light that shines from the Ebri Gardens all day. And after paying our due respect to the Chihini, come with me to the Kakum National Park, dance with me on the canopy walkway. The spectacular beauty of the Shy Hills will bring you very high chills. Allow me to introduce you to the biggest tree in West Africa, the big tree of Akimodan. When you're done, come with me to the mysterious water estuary Nazizanya in Adan, as we journey back to Accra, the land of me and Na, to pay homage to the Gamanche and the Memorial Mausoleum of Dr. Jifu Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Please take the front seat of my arrow glass, because I am taking you straight to Jamestown to show the historical remains of our colonial past. Because in this land, we fight to the dust, and to every young man, the art of boxing is simply a must. Welcome to Manchagbona, where I'll serve you Bankon Chitolo and give you Otimchinua dessert. Yes, this be the show now. Wish I could take you to the Christian Castle and show you around the Usher Fort, but you must be tired and you need to rest. So right before the night falls, beneath the skies above the clouds where the moon crawls, the Wulome will serenade you with the melodies of Ghana songs. Oh yo ya enigbo kemi ya won ya meridian yetema ninkaboya nu ninkaboya ye ninkaboya joe halakasa.
Oh, that was a great one, and I tell you, well, Mr. Ugly just did it there. But for all the things we have to say, Halakasa has been bringing to us this great rendition of this great poem by a man, Ras Ugly. And you can only get it right here on the show. It's the holiday edition, the Founders Day edition of the M Show. Great content. Well, not to talk too many times. We have great things to share with you. Before I bring you all that, again, I have to tell you, we're talking breastfeeding. We're also talking surviving as a mother and somebody who is at the forefront of all this, fighting COVID-19, and we're bringing her story right here today. We're also discussing many other related issues, because apparently, as we all had been stuck in our homes, with our spouses, with our children, with our guardians, etc., domestic violence had been on the surge, or has it not been? So we're having the boss of Ghana Police Services, Dofsu, right here in the studio for great interaction, and we'll tell you all about the numbers. But Founders Day it is. We had our forebears fighting to make sure we had a great independence celebration on that day, 1957. But before then, a lot of work had been done by many stalwarts of Ghana, and that is why we're celebrating them, and the content is all dedicated to them and you as well. Enjoy this. When we come back, this from episode will usher into the latest news headlines we have. And when Mama Vio Savoye introduced me to this song, well, the last time that she featured it right here and decided to bring episode into the studio, I said, this really captured what we've done to our country, with the management of our country since independence. Well captured by episode. You can get Wahala Day on his YouTube channel. And talking about YouTube channel, we do have JoyNews TV being our official YouTube channel. Please make sure that you touch base with us there. And when you get there, don't just watch the uploads, but also subscribe and click those notification buttons. As you do that, please know that we're here with you with this great independence highlights right here today. And again, let me just run by you. We have Ras Ugly. And then we also do have a great discussion. We're talking a mother and then a child who survived the torrid times of the front line of COVID-19. And then talking about domestic violence within the period and the numbers that we've recorded since the beginning of the year. And the Ghana Police Services, DOFSU's boss, is right here to discuss this with us. We're also going to have Diana Adiko, who is a gender activist, a former technical advisor with the Ministry for Gender, and knows her numbers, her concerns, as well as what the literature about domestic violence in Ghana is. But that's where we have to transition, bring you the latest news highlights in the first story. One of the key suspects in the Kafaba murder case has been charged with murder. Now, Latifa Bumaye participated in the lynching and the murder of 90-year-old Ikuya Denta at Kafaba in the Savannah region. The 25-year-old, who was arrested over the weekend, claimed she was possessed and did not know she was torturing her own grandmother. But the court presided over by His Lordship Prince Kujo remanded the suspect into police custody with a provisional charge of murder and also to reappear in court on August 20, 2020. Well, highlights of the scenes of the court. Now, let's move on to some education stories. Some 45,295 final year students in 110 schools started writing their written examinations this year at the various senior high schools we have in the country, including the Bono region, amid tight coronavirus safety protocols. Now, after practicals, which started some 2 weeks ago, the first batch of candidates in the government's free senior high school policy are writing integrated science across Ghana. Well, a visit to some of the examination centers on Monday in Sunyani indicated that all students and teachers wearing face masks and observe social distancing protocols. The headmaster of the Sunyani Senior High School, Michael Nsia Ijapon, told JoyNews parents had also been assured of the safety of their wards.
Today is the first day they are writing the core paper, and that is integrated science. You know, we have 869 candidates who are in final year. And we have 513 boys and 356 girls. Happily, they are all present. All the candidates are present, and they are all in good health. Because of the COVID protocols, we have 25 candidates to a class or a center, and we have spaced them enough. And we have a vigilator to each class, with the supervisors going around to help. If there's any challenge, they will come in and assist. All the candidates have put on their nose masks, and they are looking smart in their uniforms and their nose masks. Some have their hand sanitizers on their decks, as you can see. And so far, we have not encountered any challenge. With the observance of all the necessary protocols and the students in high spirits, we don't anticipate any challenge. All is well, and they are well prepared and poised for the exams. We've been going on air by using the local FMs to keep the parents' hearts at rest, that the cases are not in school. In fact, if there were anything at all, they would have brought them from school, from home. But after 2 weeks that we have not recorded any suspected case, we assume that all things are okay. So we have been interacting with the parents on air, and they have come to agree that all that we were saying were perfectly right. So, for instance, last Thursday, we ended the session for the Form 2 Gold. So on Friday, they all left home, and we have not heard anything, any bad news. They have all gone to meet their parents and relatives in peace. So we are left, at the moment, we only have the candidates, the Form 3 students on campus who have started their exams today. So the assurance is there. Parents have come to agree that all that we are saying, all the preparations government put in place are working to perfection. So there's no cause for alarm.
And some of the students who spoke to JoyNews said they were not worried of COVID-19 due to strong protocols being adhered to. They were also confident that they had been adequately prepared for the examinations.
It was good. Everything went on successfully by the grace of God. So I was able to recall what I learned. The questions were manageable. I had the confidence, and so I was able to calm the fear in me. I know God is with me, and I've prepared a lot, so I wasn't afraid at all.
Did the coronavirus safety protocols, did it affect your preparation?
Not at all. And surely I'm going to pass, get a distinction.
We have already prepared for the WESI. We are ready to learn hard so that we will gain what we want to gain in the future.
It was difficult, but we tried our best to do it.
Does that mean that the preparation didn't go too well?
Oh, it went very well. Yeah, we did what we can do. No, we're not afraid. It didn't affect us because we learned ahead.
Now, away from this, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, says he is ready for the verdict of Ghanaians in the December 7 general elections. The MPP flag bearer told journalists he is optimistic Ghanaians will renew his mandate come December 7. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo spoke after he successfully registered and obtained his voter ID card in his hometown Achebi in the Eastern region. The President was there with the First Lady, Rebecca Akufo-Addo, who also obtained a voter ID card at same instance.
It's the turn of my polling station to register between the 1st and the 6th. I'm very impressed with the arrangements that the Electoral Commission has made for people to register in safety with all that is going on in the country, and at the same time to do it in an efficient manner. I want to encourage everybody. We still have 3 days to go. Everybody who hasn't registered to try and register, so that when the D-Day comes, you can also participate in choosing the government of your choice. What will be sad is to sit in the house and then other people take a decision for you. So it's better that everybody who has not yet registered should come out and register. It's a simple process, it's not complicated. So that's my first thing.
So, President, thank you very much.
Then the second, I want to also add a little statement. In 2016,
Yes, sir.
I asked the people of Ghana to give me a chance and see my handiwork. They gave me the chance. So it is now for them to decide on how they see the work. Because when I saw me here, when I saw me here, it's one year and a bit who said, Yambe Papa and your brother. Mimi found there, my dear Michigan, and Mimi said, I saw a mission. Yankupo na fiye train. Na 7 December ba, you'll be at your initial.
While this was ongoing, the Electoral Commission was also vowing to expunge names of foreigners from the voters' register. It revealed it has so far exceeded its target of some 50 million voters. There have so far been reports of security agencies and their personnel preventing some persons from registering in some notable registration centers. Now, the commission says only Ghanaians would be allowed to register as it wraps up the exercise this week. Jane Mensah is chairperson of the Electoral Commission.
And on behalf of the commission, I would like to reiterate that our desire is to have a credible and clean register. And as a commission, we'll make sure that we have all the avenues and mechanisms in place to ensure that we have a clean and credible register. A register that reflects Ghanaians and Ghanaians only. A register that reflects persons who are eligible and eligible only. And so, as part of our process of cleaning, we would engage in and use all mechanisms available to clean up the register to ensure that no one who is not qualified has his or her name in the register. So I believe that these are processes that we would inform you about as we go on, but it is our desire and our determination to ensure that our register is clean. I believe that if we go to our neighboring countries, we would not have the opportunity to register there and to be on their own. Those who must determine who leads this country must be Ghanaian. And as a commission, it is our duty to ensure that the register reflects Ghanaians and Ghanaians only, and Ghanaians who qualify to vote in the election. So this is just, to sum up that as we go on, these are some of the processes that we are engaged on and in. Our attention has been drawn to attempts by foreigners, and we call on stakeholders, citizens, and the police to be vigilant, and our citizens as well to be vigilant. I do not believe that any of us can go to Togo or Cote d'Ivoire, Benin or Niger for that matter, and go and register to vote as citizens there. And therefore, the onus is on all of us as citizens to be vigilant. And we are asking Ghanaians, when you go to a registration center in the next few days and you see people who are not citizens trying to vote, can you please draw our attention to it so that we can take the necessary action? But whilst we recognize that some of them may have, found their way on our register, we like to assure all Ghanaians that we as a commission will do our best to expunge their names and to ensure that at the end of the day, only Ghanaians who are eligible find their names on the.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Chairperson for the Electoral Commission in charge of corporate services, Dr. Bosman Asari, says the Commission has also exceeded its target.
15,117,438. There are no changes in terms of the positions of the regions. However, we notice that in percentage terms, some regions have increased whilst others have decreased. With the remaining days for the registration exercise, we expect to see the numbers increasing in the regions where the registrations are taking place in urban centers with a lot of people. On this final table, the four most populous regions are giving us almost 58% of all registered voters. That's the Greater Accra region, the Ashanti region, the Eastern and the Central regions. In conclusion, what the final figure indicates is that we have exceeded our target of 50 million. We are very grateful to the people of Ghana for their cooperation in reaching this milestone. As we have indicated on several platforms, the Commission is deeply committed to registering all those who are qualified under CI 91, CI 126 as amended, and under the 1992 Constitution. So what the Commission is saying finally is that for all those who have been registered, the Commission is urging them to go to the registration centers in their electoral areas to register for their voters' ID card.
Now we have to wrap up the news, but before then, let's run this by you. Engineers working on the Pokwase interchange say they may not be able to complete the entire project on time. by the October deadline. Now, when government cuts sought for the commencement of the interchange, it was expected to be completed back in April. However, the project completion date was extended after it was expanded into a 4th-year. Resident engineer Bimpong attributes this delay to what he says are technical challenges and problems associated with the coronavirus pandemic. Nancy Emma-Fajiradosi was there and now reports.
A groundbreaking ceremony at Pokuase on the 3rd of July 2020 to begin the construction of the Pokuase interchange at ACP Junction in the Gan West municipality of the Greater Accra region. The interchange, according to Senior Minister Yao Safo-Mafo, who represented the president, was to ease traffic and improve urban mobility of residents within the project zone.
We are about to perhaps cut a sword of one of the most important interchanges in this country.
In December 2019, President Akufo-Addo visited the site where engineers assured him work will be completed in October 2020.
Our construction work. So what we have here are the piers, and that's what you can see, in your view here. And then so these are some views. So when this is completed, when you're on the Accra-Kumasi Road, this is what you see. You have the 2nd tier, the 3rd tier, and then the 4th tier.
With barely 2 months to the deadline, the news team decided to take a tour the project site. Safety helmets on, reflectors, and hand gloves, all in line with standard safety procedures at the site. Steadily, we climbed the stairs till we reached 22 meters above the ground.
We're actually standing on the tier 4 of this project, which is supposed to connect Awoshi to Kwabenya.
Resident engineer Kwabena Bimpong said the project has faced several setbacks, including the coronavirus pandemic.
Structures on the road, hawkers, and all these people was a major challenge. Now, the diversion of the road, this is the main Accra-Kumasi road. Over 40,000 vehicles ply this road each day. Now, to move these vehicles without causing major traffic is only going to take a miracle, because the Accra-Kumasi road has always been a traffic, and that is why we are constructing this road. So that was also, the management of the traffic. When the COVID came, we decided, that was sometime in March when there was a lockdown, we decided that nobody should travel because, we have a lot of itinerant workers. For about 2-3 months, we had a reduction of over 100 workers. And that really caused a major setback.
He also revealed that they will not be able to complete the entire project by the stipulated October deadline.
It's a challenge, but then we are determined to meet this deadline, but not to complete the entire project. Okay. Not to complete the entire project by October. At least all the left hands or the ramps should be ready.
During our visit, heavy vehicular traffic on the stretch was noticeable, but Engineer Bimpong was emphatic that after the project's completion, there will be free flow of traffic.
When this project is completed, they will be on the right-hand side, which is the service road, okay? And that service road has bus base. Okay. But again, at the end of the day, it is all about enforcement.
The Pokuase interchange is said to be the second 4th-tier interchange in Africa after the Epclote interchange in South Africa.
Well, a comprehensive report there by Nancy Emma-Fajiradosi. But that'll be it. The latest news wrap-up we have. We're taking a break, but do enjoy this. When we come back from the break, we'll tell you what's occupying the few newspapers we have in the studio. We'll also be having on stream Gifty and Apia for the discussions.
Yeah, and there's something to celebrate today. It's a statutory holiday. Today is Founders Day to honor and celebrate the Big Six. So that's why we're here today. There's something in the graphic about what's happening today to coincide with the occasion. We will touch base and let you know. But what's up with you on the holiday Tuesday? Like, a holiday Tuesday is painful because you still go to work tomorrow anyway.
Yeah.
You can't chill enough.
A Friday or a Monday is better.
Yeah.
Always better.
It makes the weekend longer. Let's bring Gifty in. Gifty, good morning.
Gifty, good morning.
Hi, morning.
Gifty is a holiday. What kind of tone is that?
Change your lines. Mama is saying change your lines. You know, she's a
like you sound like you're down.
I was going to say any holiday is fine as long as it's holiday. Any holiday is fine. So psych yourself to accept it. It won't be on a Friday for you to have Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
I should take you out for lunch or something like that today.
Please.
Happy holiday to you,
Oh my God. All right, Gifty,
She's not coming to work today, so we're happy.
No.
Well, we'll see.
No. She deserves a break. Listen, you deserve a 2-week break, which is very difficult for you to take. But you work too hard, Gifty. Take a break.
Mama, okay, I have a Ghanaian Times newspaper.
Please go ahead, Gifty.
And I missed you all. Okay, so Ghanaian Times, I believe that's the only paper I have actually for today. We've already run out of time anyway. So it has a banner headline about the Electoral Commission. It says the EC exceeds targets, registers over 15 million voters so far. And there is a picture of Madam Jean Mensah, the EC boss. That story is on page 12 of the newspaper. And I'm sure of victory in December polls. The story is...
Gifty, it's a holiday. Talk to your internet provider. Whilst we try to stabilize her connection, let's bring the daily graphic newspaper. Gifty would continue with the Times and finish it when her connection is a bit stable. Front page of the daily graphic news paper. Defense Minister, NDC trade accusations over voters registration, and that's coming on the back of Esiedun Ketia's outburst. But of course, that was accompanied by series of videos, if you like. Yesterday, the Defense Minister spoke to the media. Subsequently, the minority also made their positions known, and certainly Esiedun Ketia is not keeping quiet over this matter. Nation pays tribute to Founders Day today. Professor Aaron Michael Quay, Speaker of Parliament. There's something happening later today in commemoration of the Founders Day. There's a public lecture. It will be organized under the auspices of the Ministry of Information at 4 p.m. in Accra. And the speaker, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, will be taking Ghanaians down memory lane as he delivers the lecture at the event. So that's how come the headline comes with his picture on the front page. And then this one, President on Wheels, first locally assembled VW vehicles unveiled, Automobile Development Center to monitor standards. So on Monday, yesterday, the president unveiled the first VW vehicles assembled in the newly established VW assembly plant here in our country. All the related conversations to that captured in the paper today. And let's see what's in the center spread. Well, it still has to do with free SHS. It looks like the states is willing to tell it all with regards to the free SHS. So they've got there are supplementary pages in the graphic again today, as it was yesterday in the graphic, telling the story of the free SHS policy on the back page. 1.7 million electricity consumers to benefit from COVID-19 relief. 4 months ban on hunting takes effect. The Wildlife Division of the Forestry Commission has imposed a 4-month ban on hunting, capturing and destroying of wild animals in the country's forest. Known as the closed season, the annual ban on hunting for all wild animals except the grass cutter, which can be hunted under license, will last from August 1 to December 1 this year, in conformity with the Wildlife Conservation Regulation 1971. So we even have a law on this. Gifty, are you back? Maybe not, Roland. Let's see the daily dispatch.
All right, so let's do
it.
Yeah. True. You just jostled all of us out of our dullness. Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay, so I'm going to make this real quick so that it doesn't happen again.
No,
Okay.
don't worry. Well,
so
we're with you for the long haul. Go.
So EC has exceeded its targets. The story I was telling you about, I'm sure. Victory, President Akufo-Addo in his face mask, and woman who allegedly murdered 2 children to undergo psychiatric test. That story is on page 3. We did that yesterday, Mama Pia Roland. The back page of the Ghanaian Times, Togbe Akpede calls for reunification of Ghana and its neighbors. That story is by Alberto Mario Noretti in Leklebi, Kwame. And then the story also there is in Kwanta South Assembly supports PWDs with 10 wheelchairs, 10 tricycles. Great story, but always happens, when there's about to be an election. So that's it. That's all that I have today. At least I've been able to review the
Gifty, they always say the devil is in the detail.
Okay, Gifty, stop dancing. Just hold it there. Roland will bring the daily, the daily guide, and then we'll get into details of some of the stories. Roland?
I think there's a witch on your no, but that witch will not be stoned because it's something that we have to condemn in this country, and we are doing that. Let's go to the daily guide. The daily guide has on the front page the president unveiling the VW cars. The good thing is that we carried it right here on JoyNews on Monday. Good one. I'm told the cars are affordable. I haven't seen their price list yet, so we'll do that. Fire in NDC over Hoy attacks on Rawlings. That's a good. It's been feisty between the two. Then I would say among other personalities, because Dan Agbodapi issued a good weathered letter from his office. Lots of memories from the days of PNDC as well. Defense Minister challenges Mahama on voter suppression claims. EC exceeds targets. Kafaba witch killer in court. I brought you that update, highlights this morning. On the back page, we're told that our player who plays for Tianjin Teda. Oh, okay, no, he's a winger. Draw against, so he plays for Tianjin Teda, and they visited Sushu Sports Center to play against Chongqing Levang, and they drew. It's called the Champong. Back page, the Champong shined despite injury. Well, he's injured, but he still played. So, and apparently, the sports journalists are it again. One of my favorite players for the Black Star, Dede Ayew, Andre Ayew, 30 years now. Apparently, PSG is said to be dangling €5 million before the date. I'm not sure this is true, but Charlie, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to Kwame Owusu Eduenum, who is the one who filed the story. They do this to make sure they hype up the players. We all do that. Communication is good. Get me Coutinho, Thomas Partey, and Willian, Arsenal coach. This one to coughing footballers to see red. And you know that the things that sports people do on the pitch, they spit, they cough, they remove flames.
Roland, stop. It's too early.
Oh, no. I'm only saying the words. I haven't demonstrated. I can demonstrate for you. Coughing. And then, okay. All right. That'll be it.
What are you hiding?
No, nothing.
Okay.
Charlie, can we go on?
Yes,
Gifty,
we can.
What's your pick? Mine has got to do with the defense minister coming to the defense of those who...
Do I have a pick? I'm not sure.
Gifty, I think you need to rest. No. Something is telling us go and sleep because the connection is still... but Roland, you mentioned the defense minister. We'll go on to myjoyonline.com pretty shortly, and then we will tell you what's making headlines there. But a bit about this story, the defense minister, NDC trade accusations over voters registration. I'm reading from page 43, the Daily Graphic newspaper. It says the Minister of Defense, Dominic Nitiwo, and the National Democratic Congress have traded accusations over the alleged prevention of some people to register in the last phase of the mass voters registration exercise in the Banda area of the Bono region. While Mr. Nitiwo explained that soldiers were sent to the area by the Regional Security Council to enforce an agreement reached between the NPP and the NDC on the busing of people to registration centers. The NDC, led by its General Secretary, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, and the ranking member on Defense Committee of Parliament, James Argalga, said the acts by the military were meant to allegedly prevents NDC supporters from getting their names onto the electoral roll in order to give undue advantage to the MPP in the December 7 polls. I think one thing seemed clear, even though we don't have the evidence of that. It looks like there was a certain agreement, Roland and Gifty, that was reached, obviously because of the killing of that young man, that tragic incident. And based on that, the regional security council on the ground decided to take some actions.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if they all agreed necessarily on what is happening, mountain of roadblocks and preventing people from registering.
Okay.
And the people who are seen in vehicles, because, you know, Roland, and you don't want to quickly jump to a conclusion because you've seen a video of people sitting on a track, because we know that sometimes you have to travel a little distance to find a registration center, correct?
Yes, for those in the hinterland. Yeah.
So that's why I don't want to necessarily quickly, because I've seen a certain video, jump to the conclusion that,
well,
you know.
you see, I don't know. I wish that Gifty, because Gifty is the head of the defense
security desk.
Sorry, security desk.
So maybe Gifty has seen the agreement.
There's a statement that the Ghana Armed Forces issued, and this one is dated, I believe, yesterday, and we didn't carry it until the defense minister. The defense minister had that interaction with Evans, and then other sections of the media, and it was signed by Colonel Agrikwashi. He did indicate that the RECSEC had agreed, in that agreement we had the signees being Joe Dankwa, who apparently is a candidate for the MPP in the Banda constituency, and then also the member of parliament for the area, Ahmed Ibrahim, also being a signatory. And they had agreed that the RECSEC will give necessary security to the Banda constituency and the entire region before, during, and after the December election.
Okay, what does that constitute? Like, what comes together to constitute
so
that
I just
agreement?
want to apprise ourselves of what the content is based on the statement. And the two parliamentary candidates should stop busing people to the registration centers. If indeed they were ordinary residents, they should go there on their own volition. Now, political parties should educate their agents at the registration centers to fill challenge forms in challenging people whose citizenship or residency they doubt. This one too they agree to. Now, the third one, that no physical violence should be used in preventing people from registering. They agreed to the third one. And now the fourth one, that the two candidates should pledge their support to ensure peace in the constituency by signing the agreement offered by RECSEC. Now, you can clearly see that you're not supposed to bus people. So if that was the agreement, in what way and what discussions preceded this before this was signed? All right. Now, the two candidates also said that they agreed if you have any concerns about any individual to be registered, you use the process. And we've seen variedly people being prevented from registering.
As for the physical,
and the process not being adhered to.
Didn't we see that in Kaswa, where a certain member of parliament decided to shoot because she suspected people had come there who were not qualified to register in that particular area. That's it. I mean, meanwhile we have a process.
And we have to be realistic. Let's say if somebody lives in an area, where they can't access certain area, and it does happen in our country. Who are Ghanaians? They are living in remote areas, and you know that even the Electoral Commission, when they are conducting these elections, sometimes they delay in sending materials to certain areas because they have to
either
go
cross a
behind
river or something like that,
some hilly areas that they have to cross or get over, which is difficult, and so we have these delays.
So it's possible that you find a group of people coming as a group,
so we shouldn't
not necessarily organized by a certain political party.
Exactly.
Okay.
It could be by maybe members of that party, etc. We shouldn't behave as if we're ostriches. Two, when they say that people can't get access, this is one of them. And people can only get access if they are aided. Now, if the Electoral Commission, at the start of this exercise, said the parties were supposed to play complementary roles, either in education.
Encourage people to register.
Exactly. So if I think I'm a member of parliament for Ashaiman, for example, and let's say Ashaiman was not in an area where it could be having people accessing the registration centers, I should be able to aid them on behalf of my party so that they go and register. Okay. How do I aid them? Do I give them money? Yes, if I give people in Ashaiman money to take car or lorries to the registration center, it is possible. But in rural areas, okay,
so that's why I want to see exactly what they put their signatures to.
Yeah,
that's why I want to see what comes together.
So the political parties need to, and the MPP, they need to say this is the realistic situation, and this is what can be done, and this is what is done. Busing, I thought busing is taking people from Ashaiman constituency to, let's say, Kaswa. That's pure busing. Yeah. But if the people just live in areas within the constituency which will not enable them to access the registration centers, aiding them should be. Now, one last question. Is it possible that for people who live in such border areas, there will be a possibility citizens of neighboring countries will try to get access and then register? Yes, that is also a possibility. So we have to take a look at these realistically and say, look, this is the situation we face as a country. We're not in America.
So I like this analysis this morning because it's not, we're not jumping to conclusion and saying that, okay, yeah, we've seen this, so that's, it means this. You get what I mean? It obviously means this. So we hope that it will open our minds, but we want to see exactly what they've signed and what that says. Let's spend the rest of the time on myjoyonline.com. Very interesting stories you find on myjoy. Gifty?
Gifty? Defense and security.
I'm not sure it's working.
So it is working. It is working. It is working.
Gifty, go ahead. We're lucky.
Head of our security desk, Gifty Andwapia.
Okay. So I'll try and make it quick. You guys have said a lot of things. Mama B, you said exactly what's on my mind. What did the parties agree to? Exactly what did they agree to? When they say they should, and how realistic was what they agreed to? They said that don't bus people. Like Roland is saying, busing in the sense, as we understand it, politically wrong and incorrect sense, is getting people from one constituency to go and register in another constituency. Although for me, I can still register here in Spintex, or I can go and register at Kokomlemle where I work, because I feel like on the day of voting, I won't be here. Or on the day of voting, I will be at work. So if it's about getting poor people an opportunity to register, poor people who do not want to spend their money on transportation to go and register and vote for a political party, and it's about helping them, I don't see anything wrong with it. But I think that whatever they agreed on is part of what is creating the confusion right now. So you agree that if you bring a bus, if you're an MPP and you bring a bus of people, NDC will stop you. If you're an NDC group and you bring a group of people, and the MPP will stop you. I mean, that's a recipe for chaos, and that's what we're seeing. And I particularly have a lot, and I think everybody has a lot of respect for our men in uniform. I think that this is not the time to bring them into some of these things. Unfortunately, we have borders. So whether we like it or not, they are there. Is there a way to do this in a more civilized way? What is it that the political parties agreed upon? In Banda, one young man died. Useless death. Can we just stop this and just prevent more people from dying? But can the people, if the people are being bussed, when they get to the registration center, you have MPP has their reps, NDC too. There are other political parties, and they all have reps. Can't your reps make sure that the people who are registering are the right people? I mean, this shouldn't be beyond us in the 21st century.
Absolutely.
But here we are. Look at the people, the way they're even packed up. Coronavirus, that's not even right. To think about how they were kept there for so long amidst all this chaos. Can we just, I don't know. This should be really beyond beneath us. We should rise beyond this.
Absolutely. Let's do myjoyonline.com, Gifty. Let's just run through what's on our page on myjoyonline.com. Missing kilos has stayed on Produce buying companies flees cocoa buyers. The first part of this was shown yesterday. Watch out for the second part this evening here on the channel. UPSA Governing Council reappoints Professor Okoye Amate as Vice Chancellor. I should have squeezed them harder. Rawlings after allegedly squeezing Zidane's testicles. And this is one of the things that's generating a lot of conversations about Professor Ahoy's book. And that's gotten the former president to also react to that. Rawlings vows to deal with callous agenda of bile from the likes of Kwame Ahoy. That ain't good. Government requests parliamentary approval for $86 million loan to purchase armored vehicles from Israel. MPP NDC guilty of busing people to registration centers in Banda. COVID-19 forced businesses to reduce wages of over 770,000 people. Lots of stories on myjoyonline.com. Please spend time and, you know, enjoy it. Well, arrest all persons present during lynching of 90-year-old woman at Kafaba. That's a call by Occupy Ghana. And Occupy Ghana has been very consistent with issues that happen in our country. They are absolutely there to comment on it and take a position, something that we don't see from the other entities that usually in the past would have done this. So big ups to Occupy Ghana for being consistent. You fail to appreciate the mandates of National Peace Council. Dr. Nana SKB Asante to critics, speaking to Parker Wilson, very not happy with the criticisms that come with the Peace Council. He says perhaps people who do that, they haven't even checked our mandate. They don't know what it is. All right, so lots of stories to keep you company on a holiday. Just go to myjoyonline.com. Well, we've got sports coming your way. This morning, we opened the show with Natty Ugly, who is a spoken word artist. He's got another one to share with us right after sports, so you don't want to miss it. We have conversations coming up. We've heard about how domestic violence is surging in this pandemic period because a lot of people are indoors. Schools are not open. Children are home. Young people are home. There are adults who also find themselves with their abusers. We've seen this update with Europe. Yesterday, there was Kenya with some calls coming in. But what's the Ghana situation? What are our own statistics around this pandemic? What's the domestic violence situation here in Ghana? We've got an update, a great conversation that will bring you with a woman who heads that division. And we would like for you to also share your concerns with us so we can point you to the right direction in terms of how to seek redress. We're talking breasts feeding this morning as well. And we have a mother. Last week, we started a conversation with young children with pediatricians. And one of the concerns that came up was if you are a breastfeeding mother and you test positive for COVID-19, can you give it to the baby? Well, we have a mother who tested positive, was breastfeeding. Subsequently, the baby also turned positive. What's her story really, and how did they both come out of it? We have a pediatrician who will also be joining us from the Pediatric Society of Ghana alongside on that conversation. So you want to stay. It's a beautiful holiday, and we've got great content to keep you company. First, though, there's a decision by the Court of Arbitration later today. Wilfred Osei Kweku Palmer, of course, couldn't be GFA president. He contested that decision. He was disqualified. That decision will be made today. Nana Asari Bediako comes up with all the details, so stay with us.
Good morning, warm welcome to the Founders Day edition of Sports here on the AM show. My name is Asari Bediako. Now, it's a decision day at the Court of Arbitration for Sports as the Swiss-based outfit will rule on the case between the Ghana Football Association and Wilfred Osei Kweku Palmer, who is the disqualified GFA presidential aspirant. And the Tamayud Bank ruler is asked to clear his name.
Palmer was disqualified from the elections because of his failure to pay 10% of the transfer fee of Joseph Pencil and his comments that Ghana failed to qualify for the World Cup in 2018 because of government's decision to stop the football governing body from making indemnity payments. Osei appealed the decision at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, accusing the now-defunct Normalization Committee, who acted as the Elections Committee of Selective Justice. The GFA were invited by CAS to provide a response. In their defense, the Normalization Committee, through its lawyer, Na Odefole Norte, accused Palmer of breaching Article 19 of the FIFA Code of Ethics, which talks about conflict of interest. According to the committee, Osei Kweku is owing the association he sought to head, and that amounts to conflict of interest. They added that the Tamayut owner is the authorized official per the documents available to the Ghana Football Association, and he is mandated to enter into legally binding agreements on behalf of the club as he is the executive chairman and president of the club. In further defense, the Normalization Committee told CAS Palmer is a proponent of corruption and bribery because he suggested Ghana failed to qualify for 2018 World Cup tournament because the Ministry of Youth and Sports refused to pay bribes to influence the outcome of games played by the Black Stars. Hence, he is not a person of high moral integrity. Lawyers of the FA said, and I quote, "It would be unfortunate at this point to put our football fortunes in the hands of persons such as the appellant," unquote. The qualification requirements placed on aspirants, especially to presidential positions, is designed to avoid putting the GFA in the hands of persons with moral turpitude and lack of proven integrity. The football governing body also told CAS that they have no jurisdiction to hear the case, but this claim was rejected by the sports court, who exercised jurisdiction over the matter. The GFA on June 29, 2020 signed documents accepting the ruling of CAS having jurisdiction over the matter.
And Referee Kweku Palmer, who is bank ruler of Tamayut, has been speaking ahead of today's big verdict.
People tend to conclude that we have taken the Kweku-led presidency to CAS. That is never true. We were in CAS before Kurt was elected. I had done this fundamentally to clear my name. Integrity at any point is fundamental to your existence as a human being. Most people relate to me very well because I've taught at St. Augustine's, and the mere fact that I've done this gives me a certain kind of ambience, or creates the congenial atmosphere for people to relate to me in a certain manner. Goodwill. Yeah. You can never get it on a silver platter. So that is the main reason why, to protect my integrity, because the outcome of that, how do you call it, the vetting was that I don't have the integrity to even be the president of Ghana Football Association. So I was declared unfit to become president of the FA. That was the drive. Now, on the question of my future ambitions, I would tell you that, first, let me also say this. Anytime an appellate body of caste teacher rules, they give directives as to the exact steps that must be followed in order to actualize whatever they have ruled on, or the award decision is fundamental. So it gets out of my power and my hand to dictate as to what should be done after CAS have given directives. That one, everybody should understand that, because there are issues here and there that, they will come and meet Palmer, solve matters behind closed doors here and there. There's no room for that, because the moment the Supreme Court rules, the directive is what is carried out, or High Court rules, this directive is what is carried out. So it moves beyond our capabilities. That one must also be made very clear.
Let's now go on Zoom and talk to Muftar Nabila Abdullah, who has been following the case at CAS, and he joins us now. Muftar, thank you very much for your time. In the report, you mentioned the legal arguments advanced by both parties. Can you explain in detail for us?
It's a pleasure to join you this morning. Like you mentioned, I did indicate in the report that the Normalization Committee, which is now defunct, also filed a defense. But one clear thing is that Wilfred Kupama felt that the decision of the Normalization Committee was predetermined, preconceived, and premeditated because I had published a story in July, to be precise, July 31, 4 clear months before he was disqualified. In that publication, I mentioned specific reasons. I indicated that they were going to disqualify Palmer because his failure to pay 10% of the transfer fee of his player, Joseph Pinsel. I also mentioned in the publication that they were going to disqualify him because of his comments made in 2017 in relation to Ghana's failure to qualify for a 4th successive World Cup. And when they disqualified him on October 4, they cited same reasons. So the lawyers of Wilfred Kweku, in filing their petition at the Apex Sport Court body, cited that publication as one of the reasons why they believe that the decision of the Normalization Committee was premeditated, preconceived, and predetermined. And also, one clear thing they also cited was that they felt that it was a mark of selective justice because if you have to follow through every single candidate or aspirant who availed himself to contest for the position of president of the Ghana Football Association, if you say Wilfred Kupama lacked the integrity to contest for the position of president, he felt that so many other people too could have done same or could have also suffered same. He cited examples of how a club like Great Olympics owed the Ghana Football Association about $50,000 in relation to a transfer of players like Laie Kinson and Godwin Trump since 1999 or 1998. But this club, one of its leadership in the presence of Mr. Fred Papo contested for the position of president. So if they felt that someone like Wilfred Kupama failed to pay for the transfer fee of his player to the Ghana Football Association, to the GFA Development Fund, then Fred Papo should have suffered same, because he believed that if they were not selective with their decision, they would have also done same to Fred Papo. According to him, the sales of his club cannot be visited on its shareholders, and they cited one of the famous rulings that have ever happened in England, the Solomon and Solomon rule that clearly says that the sales of an institution cannot be visited, or a company cannot be visited on its shareholders. The GFA were invited to provide a response on October 21. The GFA, in their response, said that Palmer lacked the integrity because he's a proponent of corruption. They indicated clearly that it would be unfortunate to put the football fortunes in the hands of persons like the appellant, because he said government should have made available unclassified payments, and per their definition of unclassified payments, they said that they are unapproved and inappropriate payments made to FIFA and CAF officials, and these monies, when they are made to them, is to ensure that they influence the outcome of matches in favor of the Black Stars. So they said that someone who sought to head the Ghana Football Association shouldn't be speaking like that. And if you have the moral turpitude, he wouldn't be someone who would be speaking like that. They also said that one of the reasons why they disqualified Palmer was that they feel he was not the right person to lead the Ghana Football Association, because if you set to head an institution like the Ghana Football Association and you are the founder, bankroller, board chairman, and whatever of Temayut FC, he should have ensured that the club redeemed its indebtedness. And in his vetting, according to the Normalization Committee defense at the Court of Arbitration for Sport, he said in hindsight, he felt that Temayut should have made the payment. They also said that Wilfred Kupama, who accused some members of the vetting committee, to be precise, Frank Davis, the private legal practitioner who was contacted to write to him in April 2019 to make demands for the money, they said that Wilfred Kupama cannot accuse him of being in a conflict of interest because he was in the know of the composition of the vetting committee, but at no point did he raise any alarm. He should have at least made it known to the general public, or even written to the Normalization Committee, that he wasn't happy about the membership of the vetting committee. But because
Hello, Muftar. So get Muftar back on the line. But Chelsea will listen to offers for unsettled Kepa Arrizabalaga with from Lampard set to recommend the club suit for a new goalkeeper. But it is understood the Blues are unwilling to accept any deals under £50 million if they are to sell Kepa permanently during the transfer window. This is why Chelsea might want to sell Kepa. And that's all we've got time for on today's edition of Sports here on the AM Show on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. My name is Asari Bediako. Thank you very much for watching. Happy Founders Day.
Property owning democracy, better Ghana agenda. All die be die into yensu obi at the bearer that we all they hear the cry, but some people just to get richer. I guess the average politician will never cease to tell a lie just to get your promoting power. One truth we all cannot deny. No real love for the country. Everybody just chasing after the Ghana City paper. The fight against corruption year after year we all profess. But the situation only keeps getting worse. Telling me the white man took away all of our gold is like you telling me they took away all of our earth. So the name Gold Coast. Was it just an old post by which the old boast or truly our shores where the carriers of gold flows? I guess these are things the average politician will pretend to not know. See how everything just goes slow. Why? Because we are preaching selfish political philosophies and self-esteemed ideologies just to fulfill our fantasies. Hear the sounds of our soliloquies, turning off the vision when we ought to be focusing our gaze on promoting professional ethics and morality. Funny how everybody keeps talking about democracy. Kabiba mean Kabi, but how about DB mean DB? Equal rights in society, yet nobody really cares about how serious the stench in a low class be. Instead, all we get is a whole bunch of noise on the radio and on the telly. I'm sick and rid of this NDC, NPP economic crippling mentality, building the nation's walls on propaganda, greed and envy, and it's all child's play. Chucky, God save us if we get lucky. Their shame is their glory, cause their God is their belly. Shame on us all, as if the sweat, blood, and tears of our forefathers mean to us nothing at all. Is this all we become after going to school? Still, education our major tool. I mean, what is the use of degrees and masters? Doctorates and PhDs if economically they fail to protect us. Don't get me wrong, education is still the key, but what about the practice? After we're done paying the fee, we left with little industrial benefits. Of course, the same remains wages and salaries, skyrocketing at their bills and taxes. Many years down the line, and we are still here blaming economic woes on the age of slaves and masters. The Osajifo is long gone, but his achievements still stand strong. His ideas still relevant to both the old and the young. So I say salute to Kwame Nkrumah, the big five, present and past leaders. Great visionaries, some very selfless, but many keep asking y'all. So what really happens to all the aid from IFI, such as the IMF, and all the money the British left us? Domestic and foreign reserves. Over the years, all that we generated, I guess a lot has been swept under the carpet. Talk less of the oil. But when it comes to gold and cocoa, we keep ranking among the world's largest producers, yet it seems as though poverty is unable to excuse us. Indeed, we have been economically reckless. And as if they'll put money in our pockets, some politicians are now worshipped until they eventually become the pirate captains of our economic warship. In the end, it becomes an abomination to make them account for their stewardship. I guess it's the same story with the village chief who uses Stu's money to marry 10 wives, when that same money could be used to develop the village or enhance more lives. Is this the heritage one for us? Is this why our forefathers had to shed their blood? Just so our political struggle and our fight for superpower will be to expand our bellies and enrich our families? Is this why our grandfathers had to sacrifice just so you and I can rally behind some political lies? All in the name of partisan politics, disguising accountability. We have vilified, disgraced, and despised good men in authority. I wonder what really happened to integrity, respect between the young and the elderly, permitting to switch lanes. Because these are things my heart can hardly contain, though they are the sounds of my soliloquies. Ehalakasa, shalom, peace. Thank you.
Well, Nati, that was a great one.
Thank you so much.
And how do you put all your lines together?
It's hard to tell, but I guess it's inspiration from everything that happens around us. And also
because what he just did, what was the name?
Sounds of My Soliloquies. This is just the part one. It's a 3-part piece.
Yes.
And this is the part one of it.
Usually. And if you take a look at the wordings of what you say, you take the stanzas, etc. It looked like everything that has happened from pre-post independence and up to now.
That's right.
What we're doing right and what that's great history there.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
How do we get to make sure that we get to listen to you more?
You can follow Ehalakasa on all social media platforms. Ehalakasa. Everywhere, yes.
Like
YouTube,
what's on your
Facebook.
shirt?
Yes, Ehalakasa. That's right.
All right. Well, great. Ehalakasa. What does it mean?
Ehalakasa, Eha in Ewe means song. La in Ghana means sing, and Kasa in Twi means talk.
Okay, so it's a combination of everything that we
right.
have in our country.
Right. La, Kasa.
La.
Yes, Eha, La, and Kasa.
Eha, La, sing.
Sing in Ghana.
And then Kasa.
Talk.
Fantastic. Eha, La, Kasa.
Kasa. Yes, sir.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Nati Ogli.
It's a pleasure.
And I hope to follow you on social media as well.
Definitely.
So which are your social media handles?
It's Nati Ogli everywhere.
Nati Ogli everywhere.
Momo everywhere.
Instagram, yeah. Momo. Yeah. I love the Momo you brought in. Instagram, YouTube, etc. Facebook.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, Halakasa. Well, thank you very, very much, Nati Ogli.
Thank you too. My pleasure.
But the most important thing we have to do is to make sure that we all get interactive throughout the rest of the day on many of the things he said in that first of the three-part poem that he has for his soliloquy. But look, as you get interactive, know that you can have more conversations. Halakasa is there, Nati Ogli is all the names he's used for his social media handles, pages, etc. You'll get more from there. In the meantime, we have to bring you that conversation. We have Dinah Adiko joining us on this big conversation about domestic violence, because the main lady, also we're going to have the main person who is in charge of the Ghana Police Service, Dofsu, also in the studio. And Mama Vio Sobaji will have this great interaction on domestic violence within this period of the pandemic and what we need to do going forward right here.
On our hotlines being, are people calling our hotlines? I know Dofsu have some active hotlines. How are the hotlines being used by the public? And how actively circulated have these hotlines been, such that when people don't want to leave their homes and go and report, they're able to call and give a report, which will be responded to? Mind you, if I am in close proximity of my abuser, one of the things he or she will do will be to prevent me from going to report or to monitor my movement and even monitor my phone calls. So then, will this kind of situation that we exist in now make it difficult for cases to be reported versus what is happening at the community level institutions and with the NGOs? So Madam has actually alluded to that we are in a very tricky time. It's very difficult to say because the cases are not reported, abuse has not gone on. But we will be extremely glad that we have a unique situation compared to what is going on in the world, that in this crisis period, the cases of prevalence of domestic violence have gone down. Again, you can only deal with what the statistics says. You cannot cook or you cannot insist that contrary to the statistics, something else is happening. But as practitioners and as activists, we are seeing a lot of things happening. Child abuse, child sexual abuse in general, all forms of attack and assault is going up around us. And we would like to interrogate the statistics and do other surveys to understand what else is happening with people's lives.
Okay. So it is possible that people may not have come forward to reports because of their peculiar situation. So people haven't reported doesn't mean abuses are not going on.
You know, I always say that even in normal times, people don't report cases. So it is not like in normal times, everybody who has been abused within the domestic setting was coming over to the police or came over to the police to report. No, even in normal times. So therefore, we are unable to really use that argument solely to explain that we recorded low cases because of the lockdown and people were unable to come. Okay, the second point also is that assuming that that is what the case is, like people couldn't come because of the restrictions. After the restrictions, we could have an inflow of reported cases. Then we would have seen a high increase of reported cases, but that's not the issue.
But also using the comment by Dinah, so this argument that the person who is abusing is monitoring my movements, because
so that's what I'm saying.
They're idle now.
That's what I'm saying, that now in normal times, now almost everybody is going back to work, technically speaking. There's still people I know who are still working from home. Now it depends on what you are doing. So assuming you are in an abusive relationship and you sell at the market, or you are a nurse, you are a doctor, you are a teacher, because abuse has no respect for society. Exactly. So if you were going to work, yes, people can monitor, people can follow you, but you see, the good thing is that assuming I'm being abused at home, I mean, if you invited me here, I can tell you that, Mama, please, this is my problem. Can you report to the police for me? And you can do it. In fact, recently we had the woman who didn't have much. She reported a case of an abuse in relation to a child, and she took the child to the hospital. She couldn't afford the medication and all that, but she did an excellent job by taking the child. She didn't think about, oh, I don't have any food to eat, or I am poor, I am this. No, she sent the child. So within our system, I mean, when people call out for help, most of the time they get that help. So it is not like, it's unlike in Europe, where the system, the social system is it's different, not a bit, but quite different from us.
Well, their social welfare system is way advanced than ours.
I'm not even talking about the social welfare system. I'm talking about the normal social interactions, you know, because in Europe, when I was telling you of that I had a neighbor in the UK, and I honestly didn't know her name. She sent me a card during Christmas, and I wanted to send the card back, and I honestly didn't know the name, you know. So it's different. If it had been in Ghana, of course, you would have known the person's name and all that. So the system there is different, and it is here. So we cannot say that because it was restrictions, because if the person is abusive and monitors, it will monitor you even in normal times. You know, so it's difficult for us to use that argument to make a very strong, you know.
So can I ask in this way, how do people come forward? Do they walk to the police station themselves?
Yes, some walk to the police station. Afterwards, I'll talk about the hotline during the period. So people walk to the police station. People also call. We also have informing us about abuse going on and all that. So it's the normal way people report cases for all other cases. But most of the time people walk in. Most of the time people walk in. And during the restriction time too, with support from UNFPA, we were able to reactivate the DOFSU hotline. And we had I think within a month or so, we had about 6,000 calls coming in.
6,000?
Exactly. And you see, that is also another area, because when you look at the 6,000 calls coming in fact, the cases that were strictly domestic violence cases were about 200. The rest were asking for food. You know, so at a point in time, in fact, I was asking myself, did we really activate the hotline at the appropriate time, you know, technically, because most of them were calling for food, because there were other numbers where you could call and get food. So people, when our numbers went out, people were calling to say, we need food, we need that. So we had about 6,000 calls. But when you look at the statistics, direct cases were about 200 cases.
And these 200 people, were they the people being abused, or they were reporting other people being abused?
Oh, some were personal, and these were not cases that were happening during the lockdown period. They were cases that had happened before.
They just found it convenient because they now have a certain hotline to tell you about their issues.
Exactly. So some were calling, but there were cases that we received, and when we followed up, then they tell us, oh, we've resolved it, so, you know, it's not necessary, it's okay now, we are okay. So there were cases coming in, but not related. So when you make reference to what happens in Europe, especially when it has to do with their hotline, you realize that it's one of the areas that they use to assess how whether the cases of domestic violence had increased or not. Now, in our case, if you take the same hotline, I mean the same format of reporting and analyze, you realize that cases were coming in. So if people were being abused and they had phones and they were not being monitored like Auntie Dinah said, then they could call. But of course, when you are at home with an abuser, he can decide not to allow you to make calls. It is very possible. But you see, the good thing is also that in Ghana is that the way our community setup is, most people live in compound houses where they share common bathrooms, where they share common toilets. So there is an avenue to report if you want to. And so, for instance, if I'm being abused at home and I share a common bathroom with neighbors, I mean, going to bath, I could, unless maybe my husband also follows me. But whichever way, you have some opening that you can make reports. And so for looking at the statistics, genuinely, we did not have an increase in domestic violence during that period. Okay. In fact, the interaction that we had with other women and other men were that for women, they were happy that their husbands were home. So some of them decided to take that opportunity to make their husbands see them as loving and caring, as a technique, as a way of trying to draw the men to them, because maybe they were not having, full access to them in terms of their time and all that. So some were happy. So instead of picking maybe quarrels in one way or the other, they rather wanted to use the occasion to draw the men closer to them.
So this was more of a bonding period than...
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly. Well, Dinah, could it be that the things that... Because when she was talking about the 6,000 calls and only 200 related to their job, which is domestic violence, I was thinking, well, maybe the things that worry us the most, if there is poverty, if I am hungry, I won't think about abuse, would I?
Yeah, I mean, I would want to secure food for my children first, before probably reporting a slap or an insult or a restriction that I encountered from the hands of my partner the night before. So you are right. What does that also say? We had a hotline for domestic violence cases, and we received 5,800 people asking for food, and only 200 of these cases being related to domestic violence. Could it also mean that the release of the number came at a time there were so many other numbers going out for rescue, for support, for food? Could it be then that people did not quite get it, that there was an avenue to report domestic violence? So they thought all the information going out was related to how you could get support to handle the crisis. And I think one of the ways we can increase or enhance the usefulness of these hotlines would be to repeatedly advertise it. I still see in other parts, for example, in the US, where they still advertise call 911 for this and call 911. And I wonder, why do we continue to advertise 911 today? Because 911 is so popular that those of us, even in Africa and in Ghana, in our villages, also know about 911. But then they continue to repeat it on TV all the time and say, call 911 in case of this and call 911, and make domestic violence adverts, talk about intimate partner violence, and encourage people to report, to seek help. You'll notice that during the COVID crisis, there's been a lot more adverts about the crisis, education about the crisis, how to prevent it, and all of that. And very little about the other things that could be happening. And we can all say that first things first. We were plagued with an unexpected situation. We had to rise to the occasion, increase information, and ensure that people are prepared. One of the things that probably we're beaten to was to miss the opportunity to weave that in with the other issues that could emerge, which included domestic violence and sexual violence. Sexual violence, no doubt, just from the media, Mama V, take a scan and you see how high it's gone, from little babies to grown-up women who are being sexually abused. So the fact that 5,800 cases were looking for food probably tells us the way this was advertised probably we didn't distinguish it from what the other numbers were supposed to serve, and therefore people did not probably get it, that if you actually were being abused, this was the number to call.
Okay.
So that could be one of the ways. But it is my desire that domestic violence as a practice is eliminated completely from our society.
Absolutely.
So if that is what Madam is seeing, we are hopeful that that is what actually is on the ground. Mama, I want to chip this in. Madam Osua actually points out that domestic violence is not ordinarily is not properly reported. Very few cases are reported, and I agree with her. If you look at the statistics per annum or yearly from DOFSU, and you compare it with research, you know, there's one thing about reported cases, and then there are other statistics we work with. So in Ghana, we said domestic violence prevails between 33 to 37% of women have been abused or will be abused in their lifetime. And these information were generated from research that were done either by the Demographic Health Survey, by the UNICEF research, or by isolated research, national research that the country undertook, that established that kind of prevalence rate. When you compare the national prevalence rate to the reported cases rate, you would agree absolutely that domestic violence cases are underreported. And we think that even in this era, it will be more so if we do not put in deliberate efforts and awareness creation and encouraging people to go to report. And note that when abuse happens, Mama, I want to throw this, so you ask Madam how it's going. People are usually, when it's physical assault or sexual abuse, they're given medical forms to go to the police and report. It's not only you showing up at the hospital to get to go to the hospital and get a report. It is not only you showing up at the hospital where people don't already want to go. It is also about you paying a fee for the medical doctor in a public health institution to sign that form. You are already dealing with feeding all your children who are back home from wherever they were, your entire family who are back home with you. And then now you have to find between 300 to 800 Ghana cedis to pay for your medical forms to be signed before the police can probably process this case for court or for whatever actions they need to take. That is a disincentive, and even more so in a time like this when our priorities probably have changed. So it's very important that all these things are put into perspective before we conclude that we are safe and things are fine. I would rather be interested in saying, how do we dig beneath the surface and be sure that our citizens are safe, be sure that particularly women are free from violence, and be sure that our children are protected. Mama, if we talk about the crisis time, we said the lockdown is over. Not, for example, many people are not traveling anymore. A lot of travels have been cut. Partners who used to work out of town, who used to travel out of the country frequently and were given breathing spaces for their partners who were being victims of abuse to maneuver, are no more traveling. So in as much as we are not under lockdown, we are still not in normal times. And the manifestation of our normal time transcends through our families and in our relationships. So attention needs to be paid on how we give information, how we educate our women, children, and citizens, and how we ensure they are protected.
Okay, well, fortunately, our director of DOSU is also a legal practitioner, so she'll put that in perspective for us.
Yes,
but
yes.
Can we get the you want to?
Yes, I want to respond. Yes, react to some of the things she said. You know, let me give credit to UNFPA. UNFPA did a lot of work with DOSU and other stakeholders during the COVID, you know, just when the COVID, you know, we started recording cases of COVID and into the lockdown and after. There were a lot of public sensitization, drawing the public attention to the fact that there is a possibility that SGBV could increase, just as it's been, you know, it's increasing in Europe and other places. So a lot of work has been done and continues to be done by UNFPA. And then also, one other thing that I also noticed is that it is not about the number, people didn't know that the number was hotline. I had messages, WhatsApp messages from the same hotline number where people were asking me, they knew it was not a place for food, but they were personally asking me money. that, oh, boss woman, because normally when I come on air like this, I put the number out, and then they say, oh, boss lady, please, can you send us some money? Oh, this. So you could see that the message that I was receiving on the WhatsApp were messages that showed that they knew that it was not a place for food.
They just wanted to take advantage.
They just wanted to say. So it's not about for the information not being well carried out. No, it's about, as she said along the line, people were hungry at the time because some of them had to stay home and not work. And so they were looking for food. So it didn't matter whether I had to call the hospital and I'll get food. I'll do it anyway because, you know, Ghanaians like to give out. So even if it's a doctor and I'll call and the person is touched, the person can decide to give me the money. So it's not really about not knowing what the number was about or not. And then she talked about the medical form.
Yes.
Yes.
That has also generated a lot of commentary in the last few days.
Exactly. I mean, it is one of the hindrances to having...
There's a fund, isn't there? We established the fund.
Honestly, I don't want to talk about the fund.
Because the fund is also under a different setup.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I don't want to go there.
Okay.
I'm not the PR or the spokesperson for the board. But what is happening is that, yes, we need the medical form to go to court. It's an expert opinion, you know. And even though in law we say expert opinions are not binding on the court, but they are persuasive. And also, we also can look at it from the point of view that it also corroborates the story of the victim. So in law, when you look at the evidence decree, it says that corroboration is not necessary under section 7. I think 7.3, that corroboration is not necessary, you know. So unless it has been prescribed by law, like enacted by a statute. A statute says that in this particular case, you must have a corroboration to, you know, the evidence. Now, in this situation, what it then means is that you can decide to go to court, and in a case, the judge can decide to give verdict either in your favor or against you.
In the absence of a medical report?
It is possible.
Okay.
It is possible. In fact, somebody can be convicted or acquitted even on the basis of just one witness in law. But you see, the good thing with having more evidence is that it strengthens your case. So it doesn't mean that because maybe in law, unless it is stated categorically that in this situation you must have corroborative evidence to support it, it doesn't mean that when you have it, you can't go to court with it. It helps, it's easier. Because when you don't build a strong case, it is easier for a defense lawyer to step in and create some doubts in your defense, and then you might lose the case. So medical form for us police is very important for us. But the problem has to do with the payments of the fees.
Okay.
Now, yes, so when you look at the Domestic Violence Act, it states categorically that when a police personnel accompanies a victim to the police station, to the hospital, the victim is entitled to free medical care. It's in the Act. Okay. And then secondly, whatever crime that is committed not against the individual in law. It's committed against the state. And that's why we say the Republic versus, unlike civil cases. Now, in this state, what it means, therefore, is that it's the state that's supposed to foot the bill. Now, when doctors are subpoenaed to go to the court to give evidence, what they are supposed to do is that when they go to court, whether their cases were called or not, they should send the form, the subpoena form, to the registrar. The registrar of the court will then endorse the back that he came to work to court until the time when he's no more needed. I mean, he's finished giving his evidence. And then he will tender in, hand over the subpoena to the registrar, who they will go through the process, their internal processes, and then the court will pay you the money. And they normally use is a kilometer distance to calculate.
Okay.
So, for instance, if you are in Bolga and maybe you examine a patient and you need to come down to Accra and to give evidence, the court is going to use that distance traveling from Bolga to refund. So it's not like it's a flat rate. Okay. And that is what they are supposed to do. Taking money from the victim is a no. It is not founded on any law.
So the usual practice, what we see now, where they're charging between 300 and 800 Ghana cedis, is something that shouldn't happen.
No, it shouldn't happen.
Even in the absence of
let me give you an example. Let's flip the narrative and say if it were to be police, and then you came to the police station and I say, you know what, I don't have a vehicle now, so I need to go to the crime scene. So give me money or pay my transportation. Mama B, when you hear the story, how does it sound? It's the same thing I'm doing now.
But we hear it.
Exactly.
It is done.
Exactly. So if you hear such stories, how different is it from what the doctors are doing now? How different is it? So if the policeman, you hear the policeman doing it, and you think it is wrong, because, I mean, seriously, it is not for the policeman, even though we do it. Recently, I think Labadi commander personally spent 700 Ghana cedis on a victim who came down from Kumasi to identify a suspect for the police officer to arrest and send the person to Kumasi. When she came, where to sleep, what to eat, she had nothing on her. It was that commander that spent money on that person from his own pocket. You understand? So assuming spending 700 Ghana cedis on an individual, then a second person comes in, and then the second person also needs help. So if for the doctors, it's a genuine concern that they have, and that's why, because they have to go to the court to give evidence, their fuel and all that. Then let's look at the narrative. Is it allowed for us to do that for police? No. So if it's a no for police, how come we are so quiet? Not quite like quiet, but looking at it from a different angle.
It looks like, well, that's because maybe we didn't have this basic understanding that, you know, the picture that you've painted. So what it is really is that the hospital is supposed to deal with the courts?
The individual doctor. So when you are subpoenaed, of course, you have to inform your administration that I have been subpoenaed to give evidence in a case.
Okay, isn't that different from I have a medical form from the police and I'm taking it to a hospital for a doctor to examine me?
That's what I'm saying, that the money, according to the argument of the doctors, unless I didn't get it right, but the argument of the doctors, their argument has been that when I am called to the court, the money they take because when they are called to give evidence, they have to transport themselves there. So it is for transportation to go to court and give evidence. And I am saying that if it's for transportation, the state has made provisions for that. And so what you do is that all that you do is that, and it's not only limited to doctors, you know, any other person who is subpoenaed to give evidence. I know policemen who were subpoenaed, they came all the way from Kumasi not quite long ago, and then they went through the same process and their checks were issued. You know, so if it is about transportation, it is not for the victim to bear the cost. It is for the state to bear the cost. And you see, it's like looking at two individuals, one is strong and a weaker one. So it's easier to take from a weaker one because the victim is a weaker person in this situation and the state is a stronger, you know.
I'll go for Dinah for a reaction, but I just wanted to ask, how is this hindering people from coming forward? Do they always return with the medical forms?
No, they don't. In fact, sometimes, and you see, it creates an avenue for the suspects to also step in and take advantage. So sometimes they go back to the hospital. You know, sometimes these people, normally our abusers are people who are known. And because they are people who are known, what then will happen is that they will go back to the environment and say that, oh, you see, I couldn't even afford my medical bill. And then the person will say, oh, I can pay for you. So then the suspect steps in to pay, or the family steps in to pay for the medical bill. And as a result of that, you realize that it creates an opportunity for them to settle the case. And then, so it hinders our it's one of the ways that the absence or the inability of victims to access medical forms, like get their medical forms signed. It's one of the ways that it hinders our investigations.
Okay.
So,
all right. Well, we're getting to the close of the conversation. Dinah, I'll give you the opportunity to react. And then the last thing we'll do, because we want the numbers to stick on people's minds, will be to give the numbers out. Maybe we can have just some few minutes so you can call us. 030221169102. We'll also take you to Kumasi. We're getting reports. Candidates at Cheneboa Kodia Senior High School at Kumewu in the Ashanti region yesterday resisted what they term strict supervision of the ongoing exam. Sounds funny, but that's something that's happening on the ground. So we'll get in touch and give you details. But Diana, let's get your reactions.
Yes, for any practitioner like Madam Chairman and myself, the whole medical form thing is extremely frustrating. And we have also been made to understand that this is a legitimate entitlement of the medical officers who sign these forms. And when it comes to, I think Madam described what I think ought to be, but it is a sharp departure from what actually is. We understand that the doctors are entitled to this form or these fees because that is how they are supposed to cover their costs for going to court.
No.
But often than not, the demand is made upon the victim before that medical report or form is.
Okay, looks like there's a freeze in the connection. So let me take comments from Robert. Robert is in Kaneshi. Good morning, Robert.
Yeah, good morning, Mama V. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thanks for joining us. Let's hear you.
Yeah, two things. One, I want to ask, male and female, per the records they have, who are the most abused? That's one. And then number two, when it comes to sexual abuse, have they ever received a case where a wife reports the husband of sexual abuse or the husband reports the wife of sexual abuse before? I want to know.
Okay. All right, Robert, thank you for joining us. Madam?
Yes. The number of, between men and women who report more cases, women, obviously. I mean, the number of reported cases over the years since, for instance, DOFSU was established, has always been a woman. And the number is more than 80%. More than 80% of women are the abused, you know, and those who, men who report are around 18%. So it's still very high for women.
Okay. Dana, maybe we have a stronger connection to you now.
Okay. Oh, I didn't notice that I had disconnected, actually. So what I was saying, there was a virtual interviews. What I was saying is that the practice as it is now is that when you go to the hospital, you are treated. The doctors have never declined to treat victims of domestic violence or sexual abuse. What the hassle has been is that when you need them to sign, so it's one thing being treated of the abuse, and it's another thing giving a report to the police to say that, to attest to the fact that you found this, you discovered this, and this is what you see, which then backs the report that you gave to make a stronger case in court. But when it comes to signing that form, that is where the practice has been, and having worked directly with victims for 5 years and sometimes taking them to the hospital myself, the practice has been that if that money didn't touch the table, that form, which is a special form that the police give to you, will not be signed. The patient could be treated, given medications, detained at the hospital, everything, but the doctor will not sign that form until that money is paid. That has been the practice. And we have never had the courage to tell them, sign the form, and when you go to court, you apply for your reimbursement and you get your check. It has never come up before, like the way Madam is explaining it. So obviously, a lot of people have gone home and not come back because of the form. And that is why we have had resettlement of defilement cases, domestic violence cases, and that is why we have built a disinterest or lack of interest in going to the police and pursuing the case to seek justice. And that is why we have empowered the abusers to continue to abuse because they know nothing would happen to them anyways. So this is our predicament. And I think together with the police and together with other stakeholders, we need to address this issue head on.
Okay.
The domestic violence...
On that note, Dinah, sorry, let me talk to Raymond. Raymond has been holding. He's joining us from Sunyani. Good morning, Raymond.
Okay.
Hello, Raymond. Unfortunately, we lost you. I can understand. You've been holding on for quite a bit. Can you give us a call?
Madam Chairman, the earlier caller asked whether women report sexual abuse from their husbands.
We don't have those cases coming in normally. I know of one case that went to the courts and the husband was jailed. She had surgery, and after recovering, in the process of recovery, she decided to go to the farm, and the husband followed her up and had sex, raped her on the farm in the presence of their younger child. And that case went to court, and the husband was jailed. So people should not assume that you cannot be held for sexual abuse in a relationship. Within marriage. No. Once the sexual activity is abusive, you can be held responsible.
So practically when the husband is jailed, what happens to the rest of the family? But let me talk to Christian.
Mama V.
Let me talk to Christian and Joy. I'll come for a reaction on that, and then we have to close. Christian? Hello, Christian? Okay, we don't have Christian. Do we have Joy from Labadi?
Hello, Mama V. Good morning.
Good morning, Joy. You sound joyous this morning. Thanks for calling.
Yes, thank you too. How are you? I always admire you. Keep the good work, okay?
All right, thank you, Joy. But to the issue that we're discussing, any comments or questions?
Yes, I have an issue.
Okay.
Do you know about this domestic violence thing? When the police gave you the police report to go to hospital, and you are able to penetrate, and you send the police report to the police, how to go about the case? The people will be giving them the money, even the one who committed the offense. They will go, I'm a victim. I'm a victim. So if you can please help me so that we can take up the case.
Okay. All right, Joy, here's what we'll do. Just give your number to my producer, okay?
Okay.
Then we can connect you to Dovsu so you can deal with this matter. Okay, all right. Michael is in Keta. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Yes, Michael. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yes, I'm very glad that you have had a program like this on air. It's an eye-opener. And there are so many things happening within the country that is bad, and you see it keeps bringing our country down each and every day. How will a victim who has been abused go to hospital and the doctor will ask him or her to pay for medical form? It's quite unheard of. And you see, that has made, you see, the society, you see, justice for the poor is no longer available. Justice for the poor is no longer available. So the rich or the victim who is poor can never have justice in this country. And we say, and we keep propagating equality before the law. There's no equality before the law.
Well, we see the point you're making. Thank you very much for sharing. Chonibua is in Dadiese in the Western region. Chonibua, good morning. You're on air.
Yeah.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. We can hear you loud and clear. Go ahead, please.
Mama V, good morning and thank you for the wonderful job you and Madam Treme are doing. Yeah. Hello.
Yes, sir. You're on air. We can hear you. Please go ahead.
The issue of the medical reports is creating a lot of problems for people to pursue their cases. There are so many instances. You go to the hospital and they say, bring 300 Ghana cedis, 200 Ghana cedis before they sign your police report for you. And to your utter surprise, the victim may not have a PESWA. And this medical, because of the medical report, the person will go home and will never pursue the case. So really, this thing disturbs personally myself, because I don't know why when somebody is abused, somebody is assaulted, and he has to go to the police, he has to pay this 300 before the case is, taken up. So, Madam should address that case very well for us.
Okay, all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And that's where we have to end the phone calls. Let me come to you because this medical bills thing has become rather very topical right now on the show. So, so what's the way forward?
Well, what we need to do is to engage the medical doctors, whether through GMA or the appropriate quarters, and bring it to their attention, maybe find other means of ensuring that they have transportation to the court, and also to bring it to their attention that there's a provision has been made for their transportation, which is when they get to court, the registrar signs or endorses their subpoena forms for them, and at the end of the day, they hand it over to the registrar, and then the registrar goes through the process, and then their monies or their transportation is then paid. Maybe they are not aware that this provision has been made for them in law, technically speaking. And so we would have to engage them more, and get other stakeholders like the media and other interest groups on board for us to resolve this issue of medical, because it cannot go on like this. It hinders our investigation process.
All right.
And also, if you wouldn't mind, I would like to put out the hotline.
Let me take Dinah's last comment, because I think she didn't quite finish the statement that she was making. But I see that Ransford, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm on the line.
Okay, all right. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I'm calling from Dublin, and then I want to ask your guest that giving the doctor, the medical doctor, the sole right to sign this medical form, actually promoting some form of corruption in the health sector, where if the doctor has an interest in the case, whether the findings negative or positive, they are going to comment the way in which other ones have to assign or empower other health workers. For example, if the victim reports with a rape case, I think the senior midwife on that particular one that did the examination with the doctor has to also append a signature to this particular form, so that it makes it more authentic. If it's an assault, I think the head nurse, whoever did the procedure or did the investigation with the doctor, could also append his signature, so that it wouldn't just be the doctor. I've seen instances where a doctor is alone in his office and then writes even without the investigation being done. So I think we should look at the law that makes empower the doctors to do this kind of investigation.
All right. Okay, Ransford, thank you very much. I see you say you want to clarify something. He's talking about possible conflict of interest.
With doctors?
With doctors.
I didn't really hear him very well.
Okay, so the suggestion he's making is so if it's a rape case, for the senior midwife, the person who does the examination, to also sign alongside the chief medical officer, for instance, to authenticate what is on the paper. But I don't know how it works. Is it the medical officer who does the examination who fills the form?
Yes.
Or is the chief medical director who is not necessarily
the one
checking
who
the victim?
examined? Oh, no. Normally, the medical forms that we've had so far have always been endorsed by the medical doctor who
who does the examination.
Exactly, who does the examination.
Okay, well, he has another concern there. Maybe you can look into that a bit later. But Dinah, just apologies just because of time, if you can make it very snappy for us.
Okay, then I would pick this. You asked a very interesting question that people always ask. If a man rapes his wife or violates his children or beats his family and we jail him, what happens to the children? The same thing that happens to a man who embezzles state funds, the same thing that happens to a man who beats his colleague in the office who has been jailed. And you see, when we are jailing such people, we do not ask what happens to their wife and children they leave behind, who probably they so loved and cared about. But when we are taking people out of their homes, people who abuse their family, we ask what happens to the welfare of the children. If as a state we are able to jail anybody who commits a crime, so long as it's a jailable offense, why would we be concerned and worried about jailing someone who rapes his children, who rapes his wife, who beats her, and ask what happens to the children? But that question comes out often because we don't have a very strong welfare state system that provides for the family, and then it weakens all our efforts. If you take the Labadi commander who is giving 700,000 to every victim who comes to support the process, what happens to himself and his family? That is where the system is weakened at, and that is the broken link, which makes it difficult for justice to thrive. And I think our welfare, our response system as a country for domestic violence cases, our shelter systems, our domestic violence fund effectiveness and all of that has to come into the conversation. Okay. And I support Madam that we need to pick up the medical fee issue from a very comprehensive way and ensure that we engage the policy that gives legitimacy to the receipt of this money by doctors, and probably review that law and look at how the NHIS, for example, will be able to take up that cost, because indeed it is a real cost. Okay. If at the court level, the doctors are not confident that it will work effectively to their interest, how about the NHIS, so that is billed to the NHIS? Okay. I think we have to pick this up more effectively.
Fantastic suggestion.
Yes. Just to clarify. So there is no legal basis for the monies that the doctors are taking from the victims. On the medical form, it's written, I think, in pesos, and that was meant for private hospitals. You know, not government hospital, because government hospital is the state. Of course, you can't go to private hospital and say, you know what, because the state doesn't take care of the private hospital. So you can't say they should just endorse and take care of you without paying anything. So people over the years, some doctors over the years have interpreted it to mean that because it's on that form, it means that they're supposed to charge the fees. Okay. And let me also say that it's not all doctors who, of course, the majority do take monies, but we have some doctors who do not take money. Okay. Yeah, so we need to acknowledge, yes. Okay, yes,
all right. I wanted the last thing we do, the numbers, yes, just before we wrap up, yes.
So for our hotline, the Dosu hotline is 0551 000 900. Hey. 0551 000 900. I'll go over it again. 0551 000 900. With support from UNFPA, we are just 900. Okay. Yes. So with support from UNFPA, we're trying to get a short code. That will be easier.
We must.
Yes. So it's in the pipeline. In the near future, we'll have something shorter. But this will still be available. And we are on WhatsApp as well.
Okay, so this number is also on WhatsApp?
Yes, it's on WhatsApp.
Well, before we close, we'll put the number. Okay, Thomas has already put that on your screen. So please capture it. You can take your phone and take a shot of it. And you can WhatsApp as well. Please don't call to ask for food.
Yeah.
Call when there's a domestic-related issue.
And even if you have complaints, generally, if you've sent a case to another police station and maybe they are not working on it the way you want, just report. Okay. And you know, people always have the perception, even before they go to report the case, they have the perception that the police has already taken bribe. So they go there, they don't understand systems, and then they end up, and there are some also who play mischief. If there are a lot of them that do, that's why we encourage the media to always check their story with the police before they go out. Okay. Because most of the time they are up to mischief. And it's so easy to use the media against the police in such situations. So I would want to use your platform to plead with your other journalists, other media houses. Peace FM is doing a very good work. Nanaya Kunedu, I think. I mean, sorry if I'm not supposed to use your platform.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so Nanaya Kunedu, they've been doing a very good job. Anytime they have such complaints, they always cross-check with DOFSU. Okay. And then they realize that, oh no, the story is not as it is, you know. So please, instead of just the complainant or the victim walking to the media house and say, oh, I went to the police station and they took bribe and blah, 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 and they gave cake, please, check from them. Yes, because most of the time, they want the police to do certain things for them, which is not right. And the police is resisting. So they want to use the media against that. So it is not always that the police is doing something wrong or something fishy.
You. Thank you very much. Thanks for spending this time with us. Dinah, really grateful, always very grateful, because you help us. You come from a certain perspective which is very unique. It brings a lot of understanding to what we discuss. So we're always grateful. Thank you for your time as well. Chief Superintendent.
Thank you for prioritizing these issues for us as well.
All right. Chief Superintendent Owusu Atreme is Director of DOFSU. That's the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit. And of course, our own dear Dinah Diko is a gender activist. She used to be technical advisor at the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection. Thank you for all your calls. Now, let's go to Kumasi. Nanaya Jima is standing by. A group of students resisting strict supervision. What is strict supervision? Nanaya Jima will give us the details. Nanaya, tell us about this story.
So we are talking about the Chinebu Akodia Senior High School in the Kumawu, Kumawu district, Kumawu to be precise. And students yesterday went berserk after writing the first part of the integrated science paper, which came off yesterday. And according to students, the invigilators, particularly the head teacher, had been too strict on them when they were writing the first part of the paper. So some of the students with claps marched to the district chief executive to report the headmaster to him. According to them, if the district chief executive refused to take off or take out the head teacher, they will not sit for the second paper. So the district chief executive had to intervene and come to the school to calm tempers. But before then, some of the students who remained on campus were supposed to go for dining, but when they got to the dining hall, they were so angry that they toppled over the food that was served and other furniture in the dining hall. So presently, the district chief executive, together with some traditional authority, had to step in and calm tempers for students to go back to the examination halls.
And that's Nana Yaljima with that live updates from Kumasi. Very interesting story, if you ask. Students resisting strict supervision of the ongoing exam. You're still watching the AM show. It's the holiday edition, live right here. We've got one more conversation that we're bringing to you, and we will bring details of that. If you're a breastfeeding mother, you're thinking about COVID and how you breastfeed your baby so that the baby doesn't get COVID-19. Well, we've got a mother who'll be sharing her story with us. She tested positive. Her baby also tested positive for COVID-19. How did they both come out of this? That's coming up. And then, courtesy the Pediatric Society of Ghana will bring you some education this week, which is Breastfeeding Awareness Week. Okay, so it's Breastfeeding Awareness Week this week in the month of August, and to help us with some education, with some of the concerns that have come up with breastfeeding. We'll tell you some of the benefits. But we're speaking to Elsie. Elsie is a mother who tested positive for COVID-19, and her baby also tested positive for COVID-19. She's kind enough, courtesy the Pediatric Society of Ghana, she's kind enough to share her story with us. Good morning to you, Elsie. Hello, Elsie.
Hello, I can hear you. Good morning.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for sharing, really. How are you and how is the baby?
We are doing well.
Okay.
We are fine.
So how long ago did you test positive for COVID?
It's about a month ago when I was positive.
Okay. When you were positive, was the baby also positive at the same time?
No, not at the same time. She later tested positive.
Okay. But when you tested positive, were you still breastfeeding, doing all the normal things for the baby?
Okay, so I was breastfeeding before I tested positive, so I continued with the breastfeeding.
Okay. And then
when I was positive, yeah.
And how, because your baby is 11 months old.
Yes, 11 months, yeah.
How did you know, how did you decide to also test for the baby?
Okay, so for me, the only thing was my sense of smell was gone. Apart from that, I was fairly okay. So I woke up one morning, I was and then I couldn't smell the detergent I was using. So I was like, okay, then let me go and test for COVID. And when I tested, it was positive. Later on, she started sneezing. So she would sneeze continuously for some time and it would stop. And then she would start sneezing again. And then her eyes got swollen. So I was like, okay, since I'm positive, coronavirus is fair. So we don't really know what it can do in children. So let me test her. So when I tested her, she was also positive. But I continued with breastfeeding.
Okay. What gave you the confidence to still go ahead and breastfeed?
Okay, so one thing about coronavirus is that you don't really know what it does. And the reason why I breastfed is, as a mother, the breast milk has a lot of immunoglobulins. So those are the things that protect babies from diseases. So first and foremost, if I'm going to ensure that very well, very healthy, the best option for me will be breastfeeding because I have the virus, so in effect, I have antibodies, which would even be transferred to her, which would help her if she had it. So that was the main reason why I was giving her the breast milk. And I was observing all the protocols and prevention of coronavirus. So I thought it was safe to breastfeed her.
Okay. I just have to ask, where did you get the confidence from? You don't sound like there was fear at any point in time.
Oh, the fear was only when I was thinking she could be positive. But after I found her positive and she was fairly stable, the only thing I had to do was manage her. And so far, research has shown that breast milk is optimum compared to any other formula. So if you want the baby, if I want the baby to be have optimum health, my best option was breast milk, not formula.
Okay, just hold on for me. Let me bring into the conversation Dr. Mame Nyako, who is with the Pediatric Society of Ghana. Good morning to you, ma'am. Hopefully you can hear me. Hello, Doc. Hello, Doc. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. We've been talking to Elsie. Elsie's been sharing her personal experience with us, how she survived COVID-19 with her baby and how she continued to breastfeed. Tell us about why it is important to exclusively breastfeed even in this period of COVID-19.
Breastfeeding has a lot of benefits for both mother and baby. And when we say exclusive breastfeeding, we mean that the baby should have only breast milk from the time of birth, within the first hour of birth until 6 months, with no added fluids, no added foods. And like Elsie just said, breast milk has antibodies to protect the baby from other infections. COVID is new, and the mother may not have antibodies against COVID. But aside COVID, there are other things that can affect the baby. And you want to protect the baby from other diseases like diarrheal diseases, pneumonia, things that cause death in our infants. So it's important that we continue breastfeeding even in this era where we have COVID.
I want to ask about some of because around this time you also have to take all the precautions. So what should mothers do, breastfeeding mothers?
So first of all, during pregnancy, they should continue following the protocols that we all know about, so that they do not get the infection. However, if they get the infection, they also need to continue with the same protocol. So every time they are breastfeeding, they need to wear a mask. It's also important that they practice good hand hygiene. They wash their hands and or use sanitizers to perform hand hygiene. It's important for them to also eat very well, nutritious meals, so that they are strong and they have a good immune system. So we encourage that do not stop breastfeeding, even if you have tested positive. You should continue. If the mother is too ill or doesn't feel like she has the strength to breastfeed, but she can express, then she can express for other family members to feed the baby with.
Okay. All right, Doc, I think we wanted a connection where we could see you, but that's not possible. So we'll have to leave the conversation here. We'll pick up, since the awareness is throughout the week, and then we'll continue on Friday, God willing. But just the final one with you, Elsie. Elsie, how are you and the baby now?
Oh, we are fine. We actually retested and we are negative, so we are fine.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for opening up and sharing as well. Really, really grateful to you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's a bit of education on breastfeeding. We've got show business coming up. Kadi is standing by.
Good morning, I'm Kadi, and this is the Showbiz segment. Now, this morning we're going to be talking about, I had a conversation, I had an interview with social media brand influencer Ebenezer Forsen, and he was telling me about how he goes about his work, how people contact him, his style of dressing, with his makeup and, you know, artistry, and he shared more in this interview. Watch.
He goes by EB Forsen. We are going to talk about what he does on social media, how he's getting the market, because he's taking social media by storm. Everybody is purchasing him. They want him to advertise for them and all those stuff. So we want to know the magic behind all of this, the magic behind that large following and what he's up to. What exactly do you do?
Okay, I'm EB Forsen. Yes, I'm a presenter, a song promoter, advertiser, judge, a voiceover, and I think I do a lot.
So you are like a brand influencer. How did it all start?
Okay, it's all happened. I think I once worked at restaurants, and there's a thing I call Kingpin. Yes, he has gone up. And he told me that, oh, Kaka, sorry, Yanko video. So I didn't change because I'll go to work around 10 o'clock. And he did an PM, so iPhone minimum, and he did the iPhone like this. So iPhone minimum. So I think when he did that, and he did it, I was not looking good. I wasn't looking good. My hair was nasty, makeup raw. So I was there, and AJ Pounds told me that EB Forsen, Koshena, yeah, my Fyodor Apple still, but I didn't know if Fyodor. And my followers was 350 followers. So I called Kimpin, I'm calling Kimpin. I told you not to post it. I'll say, I can hype no. I said, okay, fine. I did see the followers started coming. Someone insulted me that why didn't I die before Ebony? Yeah. And I thank God. I didn't reply to the person. It was if your door, Sister Debbie, I think a whole lot. They were fighting for me and all that. I didn't even reply. So I sang this song, and I was using against the person. Apparently, boom. I came to Kwesiata, Dope Nation, a whole lot.
So how do you take these criticisms when people talk to you, like the example you gave, you should have died instead of Ebony? How do you take all these things?
Okay, I'm a person, I always say that I take positive, I don't take negative.
Do you have people wanting to, like, people coming up to say, okay, your makeup is not that good, we want to help you make it better?
Oh, okay, I'll say, unless I'm going for a program. Yes, for example, like Great Star Award, I had the makeup artist, Naglamon. Yes, she stays in my area. She always, unless I don't call her, she'll just come right away. Yeah, and she come and do my makeup for me. And Franklina, too, she's also in my area. She does makeup. Yeah.
So I want to know about your appearance, your makeup. What inspired the whole makeup thing? Is it because you didn't have a professional makeup artist, so you decided to do it on your own? What inspired it?
No. Like, I do things no one does. Yes, I'm a person. You've not seen a man putting on makeup in it, yes. So I made up, that's my brand. Yes, I said I'm into makeup. So I did, people were bashing me, I mean, you know, you follow me, so you know.
I've watched a couple of interviews where you've been asked if you're gay and stuff, and you always say you are not gay. But why do you act the way you do? Because sometimes you have the wig on, sometimes you're trying to act like a woman. I really want to know why you still continue to act the way you do, despite people claiming that you're gay.
Okay, thank you. So it's a nice question anyway. I will per se say the wigs that I've been wearing and stuff, it's advertisement. Someone might say, for example, Tasha Moore, she will tell me that, oh, he being, but someone dresses to say, because on wig, I can't just, it won't go. So the possibility I have to do is to dress like that, then I'll just post it. To make the brand, no more so wig, so that you should buy the wigs and everything, yes. That's why I decided female. And actually too, that's how I walk. Since my infancy, you can ask Tashamo, you can ask a whole lot of people. Since my infancy, that's how I walk. So my area, they know me, that's how I walk. I don't choose to be fake. I'm always real. Yeah.
Okay, so that was Ebenezer Forson, and he's a social media brand influencer. He was telling us about his work and about his, demeanor, his makeup, and then the way he looks and how he gets treated on social media. But this video will be posted on JoyNews page on Facebook, on social media, so you can go check out the whole video.
Okay, all right, Kari, thanks for show business. Enjoy the holiday. This is where we have to say goodbye. Enjoy the rest of the day. Remember, you're working tomorrow, so don't chill too much. See you soon.